through the day of what happened. Earlier that day, my father had taken Kayla to go shopping. She was going to make dinner and cook for her friends. He dropped her off earlier that day, told her that he loved her, and she said, "I love you back." Basically, Kayla was actively psychotic. She had a tendency to talk to her voices. She was in her own fantasy world. And her roommate at the time felt that she needed to be 5150 or to have an evaluation to get back on her medication. The roommate decided to call the police to get that help, services, to someone to come down to maybe get Kayla back on her medication. She wasn't a danger to herself. She wasn't a danger to others. She wasn't disturbing the peace. She was in her own home. The police responded, they came by, and instead of talking to Kayla and assessing her and finding out exactly what her mental state was, they ran a background check on the person who made the phone call to get Kayla help. They found out that this person had an active warrant in San Francisco. They then decided to do the same thing on Kayla. The warrant was not confirmed. Actually, Officer Smith told Officer Gwendolyn Brown that this is not an active warrant in our system. We cannot confirm. The date of birth is for someone else in San Francisco. They convinced the roommate to go upstairs and unlock the door, which he did. They then put him back in the patrol car to where he, transferred to San Francisco and go to jail. At that point, Officer Brown and Officer 2 went to Kayla's apartment. Xavier came out, was wondering what was going on, and they did not try to attempt to communicate, to try to understand his mental state or what was going on. Basically, Officer Brown made the decision, a very bad decision, that they were going to arrest my brother. And the first thing they did, instead of trying to talk to Kayla, trying to de-escalate the situation, they created more of a problem. They told Kayla, "Yeah, we're going to arrest you. You have a warrant." And of course, in her mind, that's not right. She wanted to do the reasonable thing, which is go call the FBI. And who could blame her? I would want confirmation myself. She turned, and that's when Officer Brown made the choice to put hands on her. Now, I read every page of this police report. It's the most heartbreaking thing I've ever had to read. And one thing I know for sure is that Kayla should not have died that night. It was unnecessary, the force they used, the methods they used, and the lack. I appreciate everyone for coming and supporting. I just don't understand why it has taken, why it's got to this extent. Why we have to fight so hard to find some sort of justice for people with mental illness. When we found out Xavier was going to be moving to Berkeley, we were so happy and so excited because he was going to be close. He was going to be in a city that hopefully would embrace him being transgender. And within 6 months, he was dead. And there's no reason why. There was a time when Xavier was living with our parents in Berkeley, and mobile crisis was called because he had just, luckily happened to have his crisis during business hours. Mobile crisis responded, and they talked to him. They calmed him down. Each time they went 2 times. They were able to get him into the ambulance, get him to John's George, get him medicated, and he was fine. The one time when there was no mobile crisis, he died. And my father doesn't understand why. I don't understand why. Xavier was not a disturbance. He wasn't running up and down the hallway screaming. He wasn't bothering anyone. He just needed to get on his medications. And that's where the lack of training and sensitivity comes in. I read this police report and they referred to my brother as it. What is that? He was a wonderful person. He had an innocent, sweet spirit. And he didn't deserve this. And it will happen again if nothing happens. This is a wonderful forum and opportunity. This people's investigation, I support 100%. It is accurate, it's detailed, it's not just about pointing fingers, although that's part of it, but it's also about solutions. And we have to make some sense out of Kayla's death. We have to create some sort of change from this. Because if we don't, it will happen again. And I swear to God, I hope it's not one of your children. I know everyone in this room knows someone, if not a family member, who's suffering from mental illness. You cannot escape it. All right? So you might as well deal with it and manage it and come up with policies that will help people who are in crisis. Cops are not, maybe it's just the mentality. You can have all kinds of CIT training, crisis intervention training. You know, the Memphis model is always wonderful, but if you have that frame of mind where you just want to be a cop, you want to enforce, you just want to lay down the law, then yeah, people are going to die.
Yeah.
You know, and right now, you know, my father wasn't able to make it. This is very hard for him. He cared for Xavier all his life. We grew up without our mother. It was just me, my dad, and Xavier. And once again, we just were so happy when he came to Berkeley. And now we're just devastated, and we want to know what Berkeley's going to do about it.